Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar. There is a very diverse community that live, work and play and visit Whitehorse, so we welcome you. We'd like to acknowledge the challenges that everyone is facing at the moment during COVID-19 and especially stage 4 restrictions. It's been a challenge for many people, and it is a real challenge thinking about the future at this time. This project has been postponed on many occasions, and we actually planned on starting this project at the start of the year, but due to a whole range of restrictions, including level 3 and now level 4, we have rescheduled, I think 7 times, but we've decided that actually it's probably a good time to start thinking about the future that we'd like to see in 2040, especially during these challenging times. So yes, we'd like to acknowledge that there'd be many people currently struggling during these times. I'd like to welcome this evening CEO of Whitehorse City Council, Simon McMillan. So welcome, Simon. Myself, I'm Sam Walsh. I'm the Director of Chatterbox Projects, and our other panellist is Sarah Bishop, who's the Director of Activate Consulting. Sarah and myself are working very closely with Whitehorse City Council in developing the Whitehorse 2040 community vision, and we'll be working very closely with the community once we start the engagement. So welcome, and Simon will be popping in to say a few words throughout tonight's presentation. I'd also like to welcome Renee Anderson, who's a staff member at Whitehorse City Council, who is also here today, and she'll be helping with the question and answer session at the end. So welcome. So about tonight's session, today's information session is scheduled for a maximum of 1 hour. It'll be a 30-minute presentation followed by 30 minutes of question and answer. The session will be recorded and it'll be uploaded to the Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision page. All participants' microphones and cameras are off during this presentation as it is a webinar. As we said, there'll be a presentation followed by an opportunity to ask questions at the end. And please feel free to ask any questions throughout the session using the Q&A function. You should all have a Q&A function at the bottom of your or top of your screen. So Sarah will be monitoring the Q&A session throughout the evening. So please feel free to ask any questions. And we will be conducting some polls throughout the session that will pop up on your screen. So we really encourage you to participate. So the first poll we'd like to do is we would like to know, how did you find out about tonight's webinar? Did you find out about it through the Whitehorse News, the council newsletter, the Whitehorse Council social media page, example Facebook, word of mouth, the Whitehorse Council website, email or newsletter from council or other? So it'd be really interesting to know what media is working to inform the community to get involved. I'm going to end the polling in 5 seconds, so if you'd like to participate, that would be great. As you can see, most people at this evening's webinar found out by council's social media page, 50%. 25% found out through the Whitehorse News, 13% through the email newsletter from council, and 13% other. We might actually ask you at the end of the session what other is. We'd love to know where you've found out about tonight's webinar session. The other poll we'd love to ask you this evening is we'd love to know where you are right now. So let us know whether you're in a suburb of Whitehorse or whether you're somewhere else by ticking other. This helps us work out as well the interest in people in different suburbs. Be closing the poll in 5 seconds. Great. So this evening we have 25% of people from Box Hill North. We have one person, 13% from Mitcham, someone, 13% from Vermont and Vermont South. So we have 3 suburbs covered this evening, and we have 50% other. So once again, at the end of the session tonight in Q&A, be great. Or even if you could tell us now through the Q&A function, what other suburbs you're coming to us from today. Thanks. So the purpose of tonight's session is to tell you about the Whitehorse 2040 community vision, why it's being developed and how you can get involved and shape the vision for the future. Simon, over to you.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So the Whitehorse 2040 community vision will outline the desired future for the whole of Whitehorse beyond just the work of council. In the past, council's developed the council vision, but this time round, the community is developing the vision, and it will be the whole of the community who will work towards achieving the vision. It will have us consider the environment, our communities, jobs, celebrations, the way we study, the way we live, the way we work, and the way we play. So it's a really great opportunity to determine our future state. So looking forward to it.
Great. And as Simon was saying, in the future, council has developed the vision by consulting with the community this time, and it's only been the responsibility of council to implement the vision. The new community vision is actually for the whole community. So that's the real difference between this community vision and past council vision. So thanks, Simon. Simon's also going to tell us about why council needs a community vision.
Yeah, so in addition to what's on the screen, I think in particular over the next 12 months there will be a long-term community vision that's developed for every council area. So council's role is to support the process so that the Whitehorse community can develop its vision. So it's going to relate to every aspect of council as part of the organisation, but we will be led by what the community desires through this process to gain that vision.
Thanks, Simon. Sarah, can you tell us about the project timelines for developing the Whitehorse 2040 community vision?
Yeah, so importantly, because it is the community's vision, there's many opportunities for the community to get involved and inform and help develop what that vision is. So you'll see on the screen, there's a timeline with 6 stages. So the first 2 stages is where we're going to be talking to the community and getting as much input as we can into the community's ideas about what they hope for the future, what the top priorities should be. In the second step there, we'll give you an update on what we've heard so far and then ask you to continue to give us that further information and help prioritise what things are most important to you. And then in the third stage, we're actually going to be running a community panel process. So that's where we have between 40 and 50 members of the community come together over a period of 3 days with Sam and myself. And we talk about all the things that the community has told us in the first stages, stage 1 and 2. And the panel will also hear from other experts around things like the environment or development or population. And using all that information, that panel will actually come up with and write the vision on behalf of the community. So that's a really in-depth process and an opportunity for the community to write and own their own vision. Then from there, in step 4, the vision that the community panel has drafted will be turned into a bigger document with a bit of background and telling the story of how we got to that point. And then council will consider that and place it out into stage 5 on public exhibition. So this means that the draft document in full will be available for the community to read and think about and provide any further feedback to make sure that that vision is really reflective of what the community wants in the future. And then following that process, if there's been any further feedback as part of stage 5, that'll be incorporated into the final document which will then be presented to council to formally approve. And then council will use that, as Simon said earlier, to start to inform its plans and its strategies to help work towards achieving that vision in the long term.
Thanks, Sarah. And moving on from that, Simon's going to tell us about how council will use the community vision.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So, as I mentioned before, the community vision is a document that it will be produced by the community. And I think it's really essential to point out that it'll also be owned by the community. And once developed, council will use the vision to guide its strategic planning and decision making, particularly our 4-year plan, which we will kick off parallel towards the end of this process. So it's really important that we have this vision in place in order for council to start its particular 4-year plan. So it's really important from that perspective. However, community vision can also be used to engage other organisations and sectors that the community contribute to, particularly areas like not-for-profits, service organisations and local businesses. It's also a terrific advocacy tool that we can use when talking to other arms of government and our regional areas. And it really gives us a lot of confidence that when we are pitching for anything for the city of Whitehorse, that we can stand there and say that we've got the support of the Whitehorse community. So that we're all working towards a common view, and that's a key and critical outcome as part of this vision. So really looking forward to it.
Thank you. And what the state government has done, they've actually released and approved a new local government act recently, which requires all councils to undertake this process, giving the community more influence over the community vision. So all councils will actually have to show how their council plans and annual budgets reflect the community vision. So it's a very important time for the community to really influence what the whole community should be working towards over the next 20 years. So it's a very exciting time. So these are just 2 ways that council will be utilising the community vision. But as Simon said, it could be the local hospital or the neighbourhood house or local businesses who will actually have access to this community vision so they can understand what the whole of the Whitehorse community would like their community to look, be and feel like. So thanks. So how are we going to develop this vision? As Sarah was saying, in stage 1, we're going out with some very broad questions. We're going to be asking people to imagine Whitehorse in 20 years' time. What do you hope our community will be like, and what do we need to prioritise to get there? As you can see, this photo in the presentation is actually Box Hill from 1940. So in 2040, which is what this plan is, it'll be 100 years from this photo. So we have come a long way from this photo. And this year, COVID-19 has forced us to change the way we work and live, leading many of us to think about how we may want to live differently in the future and what is most important. I know for myself and our family, we're really changing the way that we do live. Because we have to, we're actually now shopping and doing everything locally within 5 kilometres. We're getting on our bikes more, we're walking more. Our car, I don't think's moved for quite some time. So COVID-19 has actually forced us to look at that way. So now is a really good time to start to think ahead about how and what future we'd like. As we all hope for returning to our usual daily lives, and hopefully that'll happen in the next 4 weeks when stage 4 is lifted, and a time beyond COVID, it is important time to set a vision for the Whitehorse we want to see. The Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision will outline the desired future of the whole of Whitehorse beyond just the work of council, and it will include everything that makes up the community: places, spaces, people, celebrations, as Simon was saying earlier. So this is the broad question. Imagine Whitehorse in 20 years' time. What do you hope our community will be like, and what do we need to prioritise to get there? Some of the questions that will help answer that question is, what do you love or value about Whitehorse? Thinking about your connection to Whitehorse, what do you love or value? Because lots of people don't only live in Whitehorse, they might run a business or own a business in Whitehorse. They may study in Whitehorse, they may work in Whitehorse. So we're actually going to be asking people who live, work, play, visit and own a business in Whitehorse what they love or value. And this tells us what to keep and preserve, and what is important. The second question we'll be asking is, thinking about your connection to Whitehorse, what would you like our community to look, feel, or be like in 2040, and what do we need to get there? This captures the community's aspirations for the future. So this is what we'll be asking over stage 1 and stage 2. And we need to know how to get there. There's no use actually asking the community how you want Whitehorse to look, feel, or be, but we actually need to work with the community about how we get there, because we actually need to talk to the community about solutions and ideas of how we move from where we are today to where we want to be in 20 years' time. And we also want to know what everyone's top priority for the future is, because many people will have a range of ideas of what they want the community to look, be, and feel like. But we want to know what the community's top priority for the future is. This helps us understand the community's priorities. So when this information is handed to the community panel, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is they will know that out of all the information that we've sought, we can actually get a list of priorities. And then we'll be asking, what's the most important thing to change? So we want to know where are there areas for the community to improve, or what, and this will help us understand their priorities as well. Because once again, we may have a list of priorities, but then what is the most important thing to change? Is it, we work with a lot of councils across Victoria, and it's sometimes very clear about what people want to change within either a neighbourhood or across a whole municipality. So this is going to be one of the very important questions about what are those things we want to change. Then we're going to ask, what is the best word to describe Whitehorse in the future? This helps us just understand that one word that will describe the future you want to live in. This will quickly capture the sentiment of the community's feedback and provide some key words for the panel to draw on when developing the vision. Then we're also going to be asking the community, what advice would you give the deliberative panel? As Sarah was indicating earlier, there'll be a panel between 40 and 50 people selected from people who live in Whitehorse, who are representative of the people that live in Whitehorse. So there will be people from every suburb across Whitehorse, people ranging in age from 16 and above, people who live, work, play, own a business, and they will come together over a 3-day period, and we'll be asking the community what advice you would like to give the deliberative panel to help them determine what the vision is for the Whitehorse 2040 community vision. The panel will also hear from experts around budgets or the environment, and they'll also be able to ask to hear from other experts or specialists in areas that may influence their decision making in developing that community vision. Now, Whitehorse is a very diverse municipality, and we want to hear from the whole of the community. We want to hear from people who live, work, play, study or visit. We want to hear from children, young people, older people, retirees, parents and carers, people who are born overseas or speak a language other than English, people with a disability and their carers, people who identify as LGBTIQ+, Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, business owners, university students, healthcare workers, libraries, homeowners, renters, people who live in social housing and the homeless, people who are into the arts or into the sport or into the environment, people of faith. We actually want to hear from everyone we possibly can throughout this engagement process. So we're very aware and know what people are looking for in terms of where they want to live by 2040. So how are we going to engage with the community over the next few months? We'll be actively seeking to hear all voices of our community. There will be online workshops in 6 languages. Those languages are Italian, Greek, Korean, Vietnamese and Mandarin, as well as English. There's going to be an online survey, and there's also a short survey in the Whitehorse News. There'll be a postcard with 3 questions. There'll be an ideas drawing sheet for children, young people, and anyone who would prefer to provide their ideas through visual arts. There'll be tailored activities to reach different groups. There'll be small group sessions. There will be pop-up engagements, if possible, hopefully in November and December, when we can actually start to reduce our social distancing requirements. And as we have indicated, there'll be a deliberative community panel. So there'll be lots of ways to get involved. Now, this has changed, as we indicated earlier. We have had to change this on a number of occasions because we had planned on going out to do face-to-face engagement at shopping centres and football games and libraries, but unfortunately due to COVID-19 restrictions, we've had to change the way we're engaging. So hopefully with the Whitehorse News being delivered to every household across Whitehorse, everyone will be able to fill in the survey or draw a picture and post that back free of charge, which we're hoping to generate a lot of interest. What we're doing is we have got some online workshops coming up. So our first online workshop is for young people starting this Thursday. We have 2 general workshops on the 16th and the 25th of August. We have a specific workshop for people over 65 on the 26th of August. And then we're having workshops in Italian, workshops in Greek, Vietnamese, Korean and Mandarin in September. We really want to encourage as many people as possible to join us online to actually provide their ideas about the Whitehorse they would like to live in 2040. If you'd like to register for one of those workshops, if you just go to your search engine and type in Whitehorse 2040 Vision, it should take you to the Council's Our Say page where you'll be able to find out all the information about the upcoming online workshops and also the online survey. We'd really love everyone tonight to share the information about the Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision. We'd love you to tell your friends and family. We'd love you to encourage people who live, work, study or own a business in Whitehorse to share their ideas. Share the information with any groups you might be a part of. Many of the groups have moved online. Post on social media, Facebook, WeChat, Instagram, Twitter. Council will often post about the Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision, so if you can share those, that would really help us spread the word about how important this new Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision is. So that's all for our actual presentation about the Whitehorse Community Vision. We'd really like to open up the floor and ask you whether you have any questions for us this evening about the Whitehorse 2040 Community Vision. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen for a moment. And if anyone has any questions they would like to ask the panel, Simon, CEO, still available for questions. Renee, if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask those now. If it's a question that we're unable to answer, we will provide an answer to you at a later date. We do have your emails. But if you have any questions about how you can get involved, whether you're part of a specific group that you can get us in contact with, thanks, Jane. Jane has said that Blackburn North is not on the list. My apologies. So yes, if you've got any questions about how the community vision can be used for your own organisation, if you're part of an organisation, how you can get involved in getting a specific group to meet with us one-on-one. Yeah, start dreaming really about what the Whitehorse you would like to live in the next 20 years. So we're not getting many questions, so that may mean that that you're all satisfied with the information. The community engagement, as we indicated, really started tonight with a webinar. We have had the online platform, Our Say, happening with Council for the last couple of weeks. We would really encourage you to get involved. I think, Sarah, how many surveys have we already had online? we've had a few people engage with it so far.
Yes, we've had 86 surveys as of last Friday.
Yep.
So the Whitehorse news went out this week. So we're hoping that lots of people will see it in the Whitehorse news and either fill in a hard copy and post it into us, or jump on the website, like you said, and get involved, particularly register for the workshops.
Fantastic. I'm just going to share the show again. Just to tell you a bit more information about the community panel. So the community panel will be happening early next year, but we'll be taking expressions of interest for that panel later in the year, and we're going to be encouraging as many people as possible to put it in an expression of interest. And as Sarah indicated, 40 to 50 people will be coming together over 3 days and deliberating and discussing and hearing from experts. And they'll be presented with all the information that we receive from the community throughout the next few months. So we'd really encourage you later in the year, and you'll have lots of opportunities to hear about how you put an expression of interest as we move through the community engagement.
Sam, so I've got a question that I might ask you live. How would a particular faith group be able to connect in?
So I think we've spoken to council. They actually have a faith-based group that they work with through council. So we'll be working with council staff who have connections with faith-based organisations. So hopefully you're a part of that email group or connection. So there'll be invitations for people to be a part of that faith-based engagement process. Renee, are you able to elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, I was going to say I'm more than happy to make contact with the person that's asked that question, and we can directly engage with them from our team and make sure that the faith group is represented and covered.
Great, thank you. Yes, we think it's important that we engage with lots of different groups across Whitehorse. Many people wear different hats. They might be from an arts organisation or a sporting organisation, environment group. We want to actually try to engage with many groups across Whitehorse, because everyone has a different vision of their own community, and we want to hear about what people think the priorities are for their own neighbourhood, Whitehorse as a whole, because as you know, different neighbourhoods or different communities will have different priorities for the future. So there'll be lots of opportunities for people to get engaged.
And another question, Sam, are there any limitations on the aspects of Whitehorse that the community can think about?
Well, with one of the questions, it's what do you want it to look, feel and be like? And that's very broad. So lots of things under the word of look can be how you want buildings to be built or parks to be maintained. So that anything that's visual around Whitehorse comes under that. What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to be like? That could be something about it being inclusive or friendly, or there's lots of things, and it's everyone's own interpretation of what that word means to them. What do you want Whitehorse to be like? It's quite broad, so there's no limitations. So there's look, feel. What do you want it to feel like? There's lots of different ways that public open spaces or the way you're treated can make you feel. So once again, feel is very broad, so there's no limitations, and we don't actually specifically tell you what look, feel and be like means to you. We want you to tell us what look, feel and be like is from your perspective, and what the vision can look like. So usually when a council vision is developed, there's often, and it's not to say that this is going to be the way the Whitehorse 2040 community vision is developed, there's usually an overarching statement. And then under that, there's usually a range of themes that have come out very clearly from the community about what's important to them. So there's been no preconceived themes, there's no preconceived ideas about what this vision will even be. It'll be totally up to the community to determine that by the information that's received from the community. So I hope that answers your question, Howard.
And I've got another question which might be for Simon or Renee. Do you have any predictions about population growth in Whitehorse?
I can have look at the end of the day, we're seeing Whitehorse with moderate growth. Being a inner middle suburban municipality, our population growth is not proposed to be the extent of some of the neighbouring suburbs where they're growing further out. But I'm happy to get more detail back in terms of the actual percentage growth. I just don't have it on hand at the moment. But we do see reasonable growth, but not to the extent that you would see in sort of the middle to further middle and outer suburban areas. But happy to get that detail, Renee, and I could organise that information.
I can absolutely get that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's probably good just to mention too, on the website, on the web page that's on the screen at the moment, there's a range, council has put together a range of information sheets about different kind of topics to do with Whitehorse in the future. So it looks at the diversity of Whitehorse, it looks at different elements around development or environment. So I think there's about 10 or 11 of those information and fact sheets. So if you want to have a little bit of a look at those and get a little bit more information about Whitehorse now and predictions for the future, you can look at those before you go ahead and answer the surveys.
A lot of that information comes from the ABS data, which is very helpful with councils and other agencies across any municipality planning for the future. But what's going to be different this year is due to the whole of Australia and the whole of the world going through a pandemic. The first time in quite some time, I think it's 100 years since the Spanish flu, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it'll really change the way people view their own communities. I know that for me, our neighbours have become quite important to us because we're now actually concentrating on where we live a bit more, and we're not going off to work every day. So I think it's a good time to develop a vision. It would be really difficult if councils had developed the vision pre-COVID, because the vision might then reflect the current thinking of the community and what's more important to them. Is there any other questions before we finish tonight's webinar? Renee or Simon, do you have any final questions or anything you'd like to say before we finish tonight?
Nothing. Again, thanking everyone. Sorry, Simon, for attending. Really appreciate everybody's time.
Well, I just want to finish up by saying that, yeah, obviously, thank you. And this is a real exciting time because I know we're in a world of hurt at the moment with the pandemic around us, and there's a lot of issues around, keeping local business operating and keeping our community feeling supported. As Sam pointed out, I think it's really important if the community can now think about, and we often hear the term new normal, well, what will that look like for Whitehorse into the future? And I really think the local aspect of the exercise is really important. What has made Whitehorse great today, but what's going to make it much better into the future and more sustainable? And I notice there's some comments around environment. I know there's a lot of interest around maintaining the greening of the city, which has been a main reason as to why people have moved into and have retained their residency in Whitehorse. I'm a Whitehorse resident, so I'm a big fan, obviously, but I certainly would encourage everybody to put some thought into this. And as Sam has pointed out, if you know of others that may not be aware of this opportunity, please invite them to get involved. I'd be very keen to continue to hear through this process, as would the council. So, look, thank you for coming along tonight, and stay safe, but please participate and encourage more to do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. And just to recap, we want to know what you love and value now, as Simon said, because we want to keep what's good about Whitehorse. We want to know what you think the priorities are for the future. We want to know what we need to change, because there might be some things we need to change. So there's lots of broad questions, and you can answer them any way you wish. And then what happens to the information that we receive is we actually then analyse and read every comment that's received, and they get themed. So we can start to understand where the priorities are across Whitehorse. And as we said, that information will be given to the panel, which they will use, along with a whole heap of other information from specialists and experts to come up with a Whitehorse 2040 community vision, which will come back out to the community just to double check whether that's reflective of the community's vision. So once again, I'd like to say thanks very much for attending tonight. Hopefully you've got time to now either cook dinner if you haven't already, but there's one last poll that we'd just like to launch about how informative did you find tonight's session. That would be really helpful for us. Because as we move on, we start, as we indicated, we start our community workshops starting this Thursday with young people between 12 and 25. If you have any young people in your household that are between 12 and 25, encourage them to come to the workshop on Thursday. We really want to hear from young people of all ages. And then as we move through, please book into a general workshop or a workshop with languages other than English. We'd really love to have you involved. This is where the workshops are a little bit more interactive. We get you to brainstorm throughout those workshops. So this is a webinar, it's more about information sharing with you, but the workshops are more interactive and you get to actually have a little bit more say and provide your ideas. So please go online and book into a workshop because we'd love to see you at one. So thank you. We really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Stay safe.